So guys, it's Sunday night. This is a great time to start preparing for this upcoming trading week. There are some very key technicals to be paying attention to, some supply rejections to be paying attention to on the NASDAQ and the S&P 500, and I want to break them down in today's video. Now, typically, we will only look at the S&P and the NASDAQ, but I'm going to add the Russell in today's video because there is a key supply rejection on the Russell, and if you guys have been watching the market lately, you know that those small caps have been leading the market. Now, with these small cap companies leading the market, I don't feel that great about seeing that, and I think there is an opportunity to potentially play these back to the downside if we see some weakness on that Russell 2000. So I want to go ahead and break that down in today's video. So we're going to look at the futures. We're going to look at some individual stock setups, hopefully prepare you for this upcoming trading week. If you enjoyed after watching, press that like button, subscribe to the channel. Let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, guys, let's go ahead and start here on the S&P 500 futures. Let's take a look at where we traded into last week, what levels we need to start watching out for this week, and why I think we could see a pullback on this market. I think a pullback at this point would be the healthiest move on the market. There's a very nice retest level that I would like to see the S&P, the NASDAQ, and the Russell come back down to potentially find buyers again. So at this point, I'm definitely looking for downside as a healthy move because of the very strong upside that we've seen over the last few weeks. So last week, we got a nice push up into this 4,200 level. A lot of people were eyeing that 4,200 level. This was a major level here on the daily chart, and we definitely saw the rejections come in at 4,200. So if we're looking at this daily chart, we can clearly see how important 42 is, right? We can see 4,200 here, we can see 4,200 here, we could see 4,200 here, and once again here. And then recently we had a push into 4,200 and rejected here back in December. Now we're sitting here in early February, and we went ahead and pushed back into 4,200. So it is very clear that this 4,200 level is a major supply here on the S&P 500, and I think it's best that we do see a pullback from this point. If I zoom in here on the 4-hour chart, you can clearly see the supply rejections that came in at this 4,200. We tried it twice. We couldn't get over it. The market was definitely telling us, hey, this is a tough level. Be careful playing long into this level. It was very clear and obvious both Thursday and Friday, and we saw those rejections come in. Now, you guys know I like to break and retest. I like to play retests. I like to look long off of a potential break of a key level, the retest of that key level, and then we can look for that long opportunity. In my opinion, the market right now is setting up a larger break and retest for another potential long entry. Of course, we'll have to see how things shake out, but that is what I'm thinking as of right now. So you can see over the last few weeks, we broke this previous major supply here around this 4,100. We had previous rejections at 41, rejections at 41, and rejections at 41. Now on FOMC, we got that big push to the upside through that 41, and we continue to the upside. We never came back and retested that level. So when I see the market have a major candle through a previous supply, in my opinion, I think the healthy move here is for us to trade back into 4,100. Trade back into 4,100 and then see if the buyers step in again at 4,100 for another potential push to the upside. Now, of course, we're not going to just blindly buy calls at 4,100. We'll have to see how the market does react. But I believe that at this moment, the best move on the market, the cleanest move on the market, the move that makes sense to me as of now is a supply rejection of 42, a retest of that 41, and then we'll have to see how the market trades at 41. So as I head into this week, when I look at this S&P 500, even when we're looking at the NASDAQ and the Russell, I am not that favorable of looking for upside here into 4,200 again. I would much rather be looking to see, is there opportunity to trade back down into 4,100? If there's some short-term short opportunities back into that 4,100, once we get to that 4,100, then I would start to look to see if that demand steps up. But as of right now, it just doesn't seem to make sense to me to try to look long back into that 4,200 before we get that clean retest of 41. So that's my mindset right now on the S&P. I think it's a very clear rejection of 4,200, very clear supply on the daily chart. We had the big break of 4,100. I think we need to see that retest come in. We could see that early next week. If we do start to see that retest, you have to start thinking both ways. You cannot get biased in a single direction here at 4,100. We could very well have a retest and another long opportunity off 41. That is totally possible. Or if we do come back to 41, if we turn it into another rejection, then maybe this is where this uptrend starts to break, and this is where you can get some more short opportunities. But as of right now, I'm thinking a retest of 41 next week is where I think we'll end up. Now, here's the daily chart on the NASDAQ, and this is pretty much the same exact thing. You can see this heavy supply rejection up here around this 13,000. We had previous lows here. This is back in April, May. We had rejections here in June. We had a previous hold here. We had another hold here. Then we rejected that level once again, and you can see we traded right back into it on Thursday, Friday. So it is very clear that this is a heavy supply level on both the S&P 500 as well as here on the NASDAQ around this 12,800, 13,000 level. Now, if we go to the 4-hour chart, you can see a very similar type of break and retest setup could be going on here. You can see we got that big break of a previous supply right around this 12,300 level. We had a rejection at 12,300. We had a rejection at 12,300. On FOMC, we had that major push to the upside and continuation into supply. At this point, I think it makes most sense to see if the NASDAQ can go ahead and pull back, come back down to that retest level around 12,300, and then we see if the market tries to hold up here. This is a very clean break. Now we need the retest, right? The market does this all the time. It doesn't just break to the upside and continue higher. We pushed up, we hit that major supply. At this point, I would be a little bit more looking for that retest move, looking for that downside move back into 12,300. See if we can start to hold here at 12,300 next week. If we can, maybe that sets up another long opportunity. But as of right now, I'm coming into next week, like I said on the S&P, looking for that retest move. Is there a downside opportunity to play next week into these retests? 4,100 on the ES and then around 12,300 on the NASDAQ. That is what I will be looking for as we approach this trading week. All right, guys, so the last futures contract I want to point out in today's video is the Russell 2000. These are the small cap stocks, and you guys can see this has outperformed substantially over the last few weeks. From the lows here, we have moved up just about 16% from the lows on the Russell, and we've had a very strong push through this previous rejection point right around this 1950. We had previous rejections here, rejection here, and last week we had a big push through that 1950 level. Now, just like the other indices, you can see we got that breakout of that key level and we pushed right into a major supply. Right around this 2000, 2020 level, the Russell has pushed up and it has started to find some rejections. If we go to the 4-hour chart, you can see that we have started to see a little bit of a double top rejection come in around this 2000 level. So with this rejection starting to step in here on the Russell and the retest level back around that 1950, if the small caps lose some steam, stocks like Carvana, like Roblox, like Peloton, some of these stocks that I really don't believe in very much right now in this market, we've seen big moves on those stocks, 20, 30% to the upside. If we start to see those lose some strength, I think there's going to be some opportunity here on the Russell back to the downside after this very large upside move. So with some of that analysis on the futures, some of those retest levels to be watching out for, if we do see some downside back to those retest levels, I want to point out some individual stocks to watch out for coming in this week. This right here is NVIDIA. Now, you guys know I'm a big NVIDIA bull. I love when NVIDIA moves higher. But as of right now, I could see a reason for NVIDIA to have a little bit of a cool off. Over the last few weeks, you guys know NVIDIA has been a beast. Right here from the lows to the highs, we've moved up about 55% on NVIDIA. A huge move over the last few weeks. A very nice opportunity to the upside. But we have pushed up into a supply that I just can't really wrap my head around going long anymore. I really can't get myself to look any more to the upside on NVIDIA as of right now, where we stand on this market and where NVIDIA is currently trading. I am more looking for a little bit of a cool off here before I feel comfortable going long. Now, that doesn't mean I'm right, but for me personally, to go long is a little bit more uncomfortable here than looking for that potential cool off move. You can see on the daily chart, we have moved right back into a major triple bottom here on NVIDIA. We have moved into a low here from back in January. This is February, and this is April. This is a major triple bottom on NVIDIA from early last year. Now, you can see we've traded back into that area, and we have started to find rejections. I can't help but think that this area here is going to be difficult for NVIDIA to move through, and after NVIDIA is up 55%, it's, a little bit hard to continue to trade upside when you're moving into this supply and NVIDIA has moved up already 55%. So you can see that rejection is starting to set in. If we go to the hourly chart, here is what NVIDIA did last week right at that supply area. You can see we pushed higher, rejected. We tried again on Friday and rejected once again. So I'm starting to see that heaviness start to set in here on NVIDIA right at that daily chart rejection point. And that definitely sort of gives me the insight that I might want to look for some downside here, a little bit of a cool-off move on NVIDIA. Next week, I would be watching this 212 area on NVIDIA. If we stay under 212, I would look for that downside move, a little bit of a pullback, look to see if the ES and NASDAQ go ahead and retest those levels as well that we previously talked about. But looking on the daily chart once again, previous triple bottom on the daily. You can see we've moved right into it, started to find rejections on the hourly chart. You're starting to see that top start to form. I would keep an eye on this one next week, see if there's a little bit of downside to be had off that daily chart triple bottom. So going along that same theme of potentially seeing that retest on the NASDAQ and ES, a little bit of a downside move next week, Tesla's another one that's pushed up into supply. Now, Tesla's been very strong. We all know that. Getting in front of an uptrend, looking to short it is also not that great of an idea, but I at least wanted to bring it up in today's video. I wanted to give you guys these levels to watch out for because it could present some type of opportunity. You can see here on the 4-hour chart, Tesla has pushed up into a pretty major level. You can see around this 195 to 200 area, we have had a previous rejection here, a previous rejection here, and a little bit of a previous double bottom support right around that 200 level. You can see last week we have pushed back into that 200. If I go to the hourly chart and you can start to see what Tesla did around that area, yes, it did find some rejections around 195, 200. It has not yet lost that uptrend, so I am a little bit cautious shorting this stock, knowing how strong Tesla has been. But at least keep an eye on this area. 195, 200 is definitely a tough level on Tesla. Tesla's been up very large over the last few weeks. If we do get that retest move on the NASDAQ ES, I think you could potentially see that retest move on Tesla as well. A retest back to this previous breakout point, which we have never retested, right? This was your previous high on Tesla. You broke out of it. You never came back to 180 and retested that level. In my opinion, with how I trade, with the strategy I trade, I believe that markets always need to retest previous breakout points. That's something I believe in my technical analysis, and I'll continue to do that. So in my opinion, Tesla never retested 180 previous high breakout, and I think there is a potential for that to come in. If we start to reject that 195, 200, if we get that retest on the ES and the NASDAQ, I think we could potentially play Tesla back into that 180 and then look to see if we can long this again off a potential break and retest. So the last tech setup that I want to point out to you guys in today's video, going along that same type of idea, potential retest on the NASDAQ and ES, looking for maybe some downside next week, is Amazon. Now, Amazon is an interesting one. We had a previous major low around this 105 level. This is back in early April and May of last year. We had April, May, June, July, all sitting here from this previous low around 105. Now, after we traded below that 105 here in October, November, we turned it into a double top rejection. Right here and right here, this previous low turned into a double top rejection. Now, on the Thursday before earnings on Amazon, we traded above this 105 level. But after earnings was released and after Friday's trading, we are now trading back below 105. If I go to the 4-hour chart on Amazon, you are going to see that, yes, we did temporarily get above this 105 level, but above this previous double top. But after earnings and after Friday's trading, look at where we are now. We are trading back below that 105, and I can't help but think, if Amazon turns this previous double top into a rejection again, turns that previous daily chart low into a rejection again, there could be some downside to be had here. A little bit of a supply rejection off this previous top. This is another one that I will definitely be watching post earnings if there's weakness on the NASDAQ and ES. So as of right now, guys, when I look at the technical analysis, when I am staring at those supply rejections on the S&P, on the NASDAQ, on the Russell, I am definitely looking for some potential downside into early next week. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm going to play whatever direction this market gives us. We've had a strong market. We could see a little bit of an upside move early next week. That is totally possible. Maybe another attempt back into that supply. But I definitely am not going to be very aggressive on the upside. It is not smart at this point in my trading, I think in your trading as well, to be getting aggressive into those supply rejections. There is not much margin to play long into major supply. If we get above 4,200 on the ES, if we get above 13,000 on the NASDAQ, then we can start to set up those aggressive longs. But as of right now, there's a major supply above. Watch out for that this week. That retest makes the most sense to me, down to 4,100 and around 12.3 on the NASDAQ. And if we get those retest moves to the downside, then watch out for that Tesla, that NVIDIA, and Amazon rejection points that I pointed out in today's video to potentially play some downside. So I hope you guys learned something from today's video. I hope it helped you prepare for this week. If you want to get some live analysis every single morning, come hang out in the pre-market live streams starting at 8 a.m. If you want to trade with me live every single day, that's the first link down in the description below. Have a great rest of your night, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace.